Or, oh, there we go. Think it's recording now. Okay. So welcome everybody to today's special content call to be led by our resident brain health expert, Whitney Madden. Today's session is going to be focused on matters of sleep, right?
Yes.
Understanding kind of the relationship between sleep and brain health and strategies around, hopefully for those of us who need it, getting
Yes.
more quality sleep.
Yes. Absolutely.
So
Well,
take it
well,
away.
wait. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me again. Um, I think that was the first call that we had. I think Zach and I both heard clearly that sleep is a large issue, and so we definitely wanted to speak to that and help to walk you all through maybe other strategies and things that we can do to help with the sleep. So let's just take like a really deep breath of where we are and from all the places that we have been today, and just come here for a moment and just everybody take a deep breath and let it out. Let out any frustrations or anything else before coming to the call. Feel your feet on the ground of wherever that is for you, and feel where your back and gluteal muscles are supported by a chair or floor or wherever you are. All right. So let's first talk about why do we need good sleep, because I think knowing the reasons why can be really helpful. First and foremost, I think of the very first thing that we want to think about is that we want good sleep so that we can have energy for the next day of whatever it is that we want to do. The only time that the brain gets to repair and go through its washing machine is at night. So if there's things that come up for the brain during the day, whether it's inflammation or stressors or things like that, sometimes it'll take care of little pieces. But as far as the big cleaning cycle, the only time that happens for the brain, for our filter of our personality, is at night when we sleep. So the other thing that happens is that the short-term memories move into long-term memories during the night. So if we're learning something, which hopefully we are all learning something new at least 15 minutes a day, if not more, when we're learning something during the day, we want to make sure that that goes from short-term memory to long-term memory. So that's really important at night that happens. Sleep does increase our immune system. It actually decreases a protein in the body that's called a C-reactive protein that doctors can test in your blood, and it's an inflammatory marker. So this tells that there is inflammation either in the body or the brain, but it does not tell why the inflammation is there. So the C-reactive protein, if you're worried about inflammation, if you're like, I wonder if there is inflammation in my system, that's a good test, blood test that you can request from your doctor. But again, it's not going to tell the why, but it'll tell you if you have it, and if so, how much you have. And so then there's other strategies and things you can do to help reduce inflammation, both in the body and in the brain. So sleep decreases that. Sleep decreases the inflammation in the brain and in the body, so it can start fresh in the morning. Sleep also actually decreases your risks of mortality if you get at least 7 hours of sleep a night. For adults, we're really looking for 8 hours, but studies show that that 7-hour mark is really crucial for risks of mortality. And that's across the board. That's heart attacks and strokes and diabetes. And I mean, that is across all the diseases. So when you get sleep on a consistent basis, it helps to reduce those risks of you getting those diseases or dying from those diseases. The other thing that it does is when the brain gets refreshed, and you know when you've had a good night's sleep and you wake up and you're alert and your brain is functioning and it's firing. So of course, for clarity for the next day, and healthy brain function. And when we have healthy brain function, we are going to make better choices. So when you've missed a good night's sleep, and then the next day you're not making the greatest choices, if you've had a bad night's sleep, see if you can really check and observe and watch yourself that next day, because you're not going to be making the best choices. Like, instead of a little piece of candy, it might be a bag of candy. Like that's a big difference in choice of what you're going to make. So so when you wake up and you don't feel refreshed, it's really important. You may want to put a reminder on your phone or a sticky note on the mirror to say, watch decisions today. Just put a little red flag alert, because it's not going to be as good. The other thing that sleep does is it stabilizes our weight. And so we want to make sure that we have a good, healthy weight, and really good sleep actually helps with that. And of course, it affects mood and emotions and social interactions. So again, if you haven't had good sleep, your mood may not be as good. Your emotions may be you may be a little more tender, a little more raw feeling when something happens, and more reactive. So sleep helps to regulate that as well. To me, sleep is a incredible, magic, miraculous pill when you can sleep. So we know all the good reasons why we need to sleep. So let's talk about, what does your body need to sleep? So first, and I see my plant is crooked in the background. It's starting to bother me. I guess my floor is crooked. I just had to say it because it was bothering me. Okay. So what does your body need to sleep? So first and foremost, when we sleep, we want our parasympathetic system, which is our system that promotes rest and digestion. We want that to be the guide for us to go to sleep. We don't want to be in a sympathetic fight or flight system. So one of the most important things, and we'll be touching on this throughout today, is we want to feel safe and secure and free from distractions. So there's a lot of ways that we can look at that. But I want you to think about, when you crawl into bed, do I feel safe? Do I feel secure? So it's not just are the doors locked? Okay, that's important. You want to make sure, if that bothers you, you want to make sure the doors are locked. But you want to, is there anything that, can startle you in the middle of the night? I love my pets and my critters, but they are not allowed in my bedroom if they are going to disturb me. I had a cat one time who used to snuggle with me and loved it, and I loved having him in bed with me, but I would be hyper alert all night long and could not, rest. And so I had to put him out of the bedroom, which is hard. But if we don't feel safe, if we feel like we've got to have that extra listening. I mean, think about, for those of you who have had children, when there's a baby in the house, you're not going to rest fully, because you're going to be in that hyper alert state in case that child screams out. So, it's our brain is always looking for survival mechanisms and to make sure that we're safe. So that's really important. We want to create a relaxing, ritualistic routine, and not be rushed. So it's great to be able to, you do want to actually change clothes. If you don't change clothes and you're having trouble sleeping, start changing clothes. Change from your day sweats to your night sweats. Because that gives a signal to your psyche, which is taking in information via the five senses. It gives your subconscious, oh, this is time to start to wind down. So we're going to be looking also throughout our time together, messages that we're giving our brain and body of how to help the psyche go, okay, it's time to start to wind down. So putting on your pajamas, washing your face, taking your meds, doing anything, brushing your teeth, anything that you do right before you go to sleep, do that about a half an hour before you go to sleep. Because all of those things, when you wash your face, even if it's like with slightly warm water, that's revitalizing. And so that's telling your system to wake up. So, and brushing your teeth as well, because we brush our teeth in the morning too, and then we go. So we want to give continual signals using all of our senses before we get to bed. So a half an hour before bed, doing all of your ritual things. You want to, part of that is you want to go to bed at the same time every night, and you want to wake up at the same time every morning. So we've talked about before, but it's so important, I'll reiterate it, that we get a cortisol release in our system at 10 o'clock at night. Adults do. Teenagers actually get it at midnight. They get it a little bit later. But when we get that release at 10 o'clock at night, from 10 to midnight is one of the biggest repairs that our system is supercharged to repair from the day. And so we want to be asleep during that time. We don't want to get our second wind at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then we're awake until 1 o'clock. We've missed a really big window of repair for that time. So if you tend to go to sleep now at like 11:30, just start slowly like backing that up every 15 minutes or so. If it's 11:30, do 11:15 for a couple nights, and then do 11. You're not going to be able to like back it up an hour and a half and get your system, you're going to throw your system off. So see if you can back that up slowly. So ideally, in the ideal world, we would want lights out by 10. So 9:30, we're getting ready for bed. We're winding down. We've changed our clothes. We've done our ritual stuff. And we're crawling into bed a few minutes before 10. Being in a dark and cool room is really important. We want our body temperature to be a little bit cooler because of how our system works, metabolizing food and repairing from the day. So we don't want to be overheated or too warm. You can be, a little bit warm, but the room itself should be dark and cool. And if you want, a cover on to be a little bit warm and snuggly, you can do that. If there is, take a look around to see what lights are on, what little flashing lights. So like, for example, my husband has a electric toothbrush, and if we leave the bathroom door open, I can see that light. And so I've learned to close that door, so that can be charging over there, but that light doesn't affect me. When there is light, that tells your brain that something is going on and to be alerted to it. So we don't want to take out the smoke detector light because we want that to be working. But that's really like the only light that should be on. Every other light should be off. One thing to think about that a lot of people may not think about is to think about mold. If there is any mold in the bedroom, that is going to affect your sleep. So making sure that that is cleaned out properly is really important. If there is mold, it actually affects the brain. Your brain actually, when you're exposed to mold over a long period of time, your brain actually looks toxic, and it doesn't work very well. So make sure that there's no molds, because your brain is gonna see that as a danger, and it's gonna try to fight it instead of turning inward and going into rest and repair. Make sure that you turn off the Wi-Fi. And I know I've been hearing that for a long time, and it's taken me a long time to start doing that. I've been resistant, but we've actually put a timer on our Wi-Fi where it automatically shuts off now at 10 o'clock every night. The Wi-Fi, the radioactive frequencies that happen during the day for Wi-Fi keeps our brain alert. And so again, we're wanting to make sure our environment, everything that we have control over, is quiet and relaxed. And so turning that Wi-Fi off is really important. Make sure your phones are in a different room. I would get a battery operated alarm clock. I wouldn't even use a plug-in alarm clock, because that's electricity coming out close to your head. I would use a battery operated alarm clock. One of those old, I got one from Goodwill for, I think, 50 cents, or maybe it was $1. I don't even know. But it's great. Make sure that there's no screens in the bedroom, and there should be no TV, no screens at all in the bedroom, because again, those, even when it's turned off and it's plugged into the wall, there are still signals coming through. And again, your brain is going to pick that up and is on alert. Your brain picks up magnetic electrical energies. And so you may not be aware of it, but I am telling you, your brain is on duty until all of that stuff is turned off. I got a question here about how do we test for mold? Okay. For testing for mold, if there's any question, so if you're in a landlord situation, I would have the landlord test for it. There are companies that test for molds. If you think it's in the air, there's, you can go to Home Depot or Lowe's and get little boxes that can test it, and you send it off to be tested for. When you come into the room, do you smell any difference? Or when you take your clothes out of your closet, do they smell moldy? I mean, that's one way to take a look at it. Does that answer your question, Marnie? Okay. She's not responding, but if you need more, let me know. And then Frankie had asked, changing time zones and travels, how to handle the timing. So when you are traveling, it is, we'll talk about melatonin, and we'll talk about that towards the end. I'll tell you how to do that. Okay, so we talked about no screens in the bedroom of any kind, no kinds, no old TVs, no new TVs, no laptops, iPads, whatever. One thing that you want to think about is checking your mattress. How old is your mattress, and is it still comfortable? Do you feel comfortable and safe and supported when you lay down, or are you like, oh, there's a lump there as it usually is? And, you know, I mean, if there's anything that's uncomfortable, again, your brain is going to be like, okay, this is uncomfortable. You really want me to rest in this? I don't think so. I'm going to be paying attention, because every time you roll over in that spot, I am going to be awake. So make sure that your mattress is comfortable. Okay. So not only do you want to avoid any screens in the room, but about 1 to 2 hours, ideally 2 hours before you go to sleep. So in the 8 o'clock range, if we're shooting for 10, you want to avoid all screens of any kind, phone, iPads, computers, all of that. Because that blue light that comes through those screens actually decreases your melatonin, which is the hormone in your body that tells you when to go to sleep. So if you're watching those screens at night, if you're going to watch a movie, try to, watch it earlier, and then do things, take a bath, take a shower, listen to music, do a jigsaw puzzle, read something that's not hyperstimulating, something that makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. I wouldn't read the news at that point. You can journal if you've got any worries. So if there's anything that you're kind of mulling over, and a conversation or an argument or something that you had, and you just need to get it off your chest, write it out. I do a lot of writing and burning. That burning process after you write is a really awesome transformation. And especially for women, handwriting has been shown to actually change the brain and change emotions. So not typing it, you can, but it's more effective if you're handwriting. The other thing that you could do instead of, doing screens at night is to do your gratitude list. So you could handwrite that, or if you wanted to do your texting at night, or you could handwrite it and text it in the morning, so you're not on your screens. But again, when you're writing your gratitude list, I think you've heard me say this, I'm going to say it again, is you want to feel those gratitudes, not just like, airy fairy, yeah, that's nice. Yes, I'm glad I have a home to live in, but like, oh my God, I'm so glad like I have a place to land. And it's just so amazing that I have this space right now, because we're all stuck in this space. And I'm so glad, really feeling that. If you have to be on your screens. So for example, tonight I've got to be on a call at 8:00 at night, which is not a great time to be on my screen. On my computer, is to change your computer setting to night shift, to remove the blue light, and or you can also get blue blocking glasses. So my glasses automatically have that because I am on the computer a lot during the day. So you can have them put in your prescription glasses. You can ask your eye doctor, put in that blue blocking light. Or you can go on eBay or Amazon, and for, I don't even know, it's $5 or $10. You can get blue blocking glasses, and they have some, if you're using, dollar store readers, they have those prescriptions without the prescription. They have the 0.5s and the 1s and 2s and all of that with that on eBay and Amazon. So if you have to be on the screens at night, at least wear your blue blocking glasses, because we don't want to affect your melatonin during that time. One question is, you want to check in before you go to sleep if you have any unfinished business. So if that's with a person, a place, or a thing, asking yourself, if you're worried you're going to forget to get eggs tomorrow at the grocery store, make sure you write down a list in the kitchen, eggs. And so you can just drop it off. Because if there's something that your brain is trying to figure out or process, it's going to wake you up in the middle of the night. So really check in. Is there any unfinished business that needs to be taken care of? Did I have an upsetting phone call with my daughter? Do I either need to process that with her, or do I just need to like let it go and write it and burn it? What needs to be done? And just to ask yourself also, where am I at emotionally? And see, what do I need before I go to sleep? Oh, I'm feeling a little lonely. So what do I need to do? Do I need to do some hugging, things for yourself? Do you need to hug yourself and look in the mirror and let yourself know that you love yourself, which is a really awesome exercise to do. And it's great to do before you go to bed, and just really feel that love and appreciation that you have for yourself. Because again, one of the things to think about is whatever emotion you're in before you go to sleep is either going to be processed or it's going to be extenuated the next morning. So for example, I mean, you've all heard, don't go to bed angry with your partner, right? It's not a good thing because you're going to process it during the night. You're going to try to figure it out mentally. And then in the morning, you're still going to be pissed off. So that's not helpful. So where are you at emotionally? And is there anything that you need to do to shift that emotion? Because whatever you go to sleep with is how you're going to wake up. So really being mindful of that. Okay. So, if there is something that, if you've had, say you've had difficulty sleeping for a while, is there somebody that you need to talk to make amends with, or to be able to speak your truth? Or is there anything that you need to do? Like, do you need to work with a therapist? Is there anything that is just, you know, that you're mulling over and over and over again? So again, just checking out where you are. Also check your medications. A lot of people are so used to being on some medications and they're like, oh, they don't bother my sleep. I've taken them for years. I would take a look at the side effects of your medications online, you yourself. For example, statins can cause anything used for cholesterol can cause leg cramping and muscle pain, and that will wake people up a lot at night, and then they can't get back to sleep. So it's important to figure out what is causing what. So take a look at the side effects of your medication. And then the other piece of that is, if you need to take a medication that does cause sleep side effects, then look at the time of day that you're taking it and either work with your nurse or your doctor to be able to shift that. If you have any question in your mind that something may be affecting you, definitely take a look at that. Just because your doctor puts you on that medication does not mean that you get to say, I'm struggling with it. You get to be your best advocate, but you have to let them know. And certainly I know right now it's hard because you can't even get into your doctor, but you can call them. A lot of the patient portals, you can email with your doctors right now. I know a lot of doctors are doing that. So that's really important, is to be your own best health self advocate. And then any other health imbalances that haven't been treated. So if you're having hot flashes, if there's hormonal changes, if you're in pain, you know, if there's something else, you know, Chinese medicine is always about what is the root of the issue, what's the root of the problem, and to get to that. Well, I'll talk about that. I'll talk about hormones at the end there also. So one thing that you want to do is you want to set yourself up for success during the day for sleep. So a lot of times you don't even think about going to bed until 5 seconds before you go to bed. I got to brush my teeth and I'm in bed. So I want you to, when we get off the call, at any point today, like up to an hour before you go to bed, I want you to walk into your room and I want you to close your eyes and feel what it feels like. So I know Jeffrey talked about this and I'm all on board with it. What does it feel like? Is the color on the walls stimulating or soothing? Can't tell that with your eyes closed, but you can feel it. You know, does it feel cluttery? Is there like a ton of books next to your bed where your brain's like, I gotta read all that. I gotta figure that out throughout the night. When am I gonna read? I don't have time during the day. I mean, your brain just goes and goes and goes and goes. So, you know, if there's a big old stack, move it to the living room, move it elsewhere. What does it feel like in terms of safety? Is there a lot of windows in your room? Do you feel like you need to put another window covering on? Do you need dark shades when it's time to go to sleep because you can see street lights or car lights? where is your bed placed? So I don't know if Jeffrey got into this, but in Chinese medicine and feng shui, which is the art of placement, we actually want to have the top of our head pointing north because of the magnetic field. And so that is the most relaxing for our head. If your room can't handle that, and it's not situated like that, then play with it and see where is the next most relaxing place. Sometimes it's not the way that the house was designed, right? Sometimes there's a window right where you think, gosh, if I could put my bed right there. So then put your bed right there and put a tapestry cloth over the window, and put your bed there. It'll feel better. Make sure that you're not, as you're laying down, that your feet are not, that the energy is not cut off by a doorway. So for example, if you're laying like this and your feet are here, down here, and the doorway is here to the bathroom, it's over here. But if the doorway is open, that is energy coming in. This is one of the crazy things about what I've seen in my practice. I have seen people with feet and ankle problems and lower leg problems, and they've tried everything under the sun, and I've asked them where their legs are in relation to any doorway, and they sure enough sleep with a door open and there's just energy flowing through. And as soon as they shut that door, they don't have any more ankle and feet problems. May sound crazy, but I'm telling you, that's what I've seen. We're all energy, right? I mean, we're all energy. So removing anything under the bed, I know Jeffrey had talked about that, and I'm in 100% agreement of that, because again, if something is under there, your brain is like, okay, I know that that's there. I haven't looked at it for the past 7 years, but I know whatever is under there is there. And I got to make sure that nothing bad happens. So your brain is always looking. So we want to set up the brain for success at night. We want to really clear out the space. So another way to do that is to vacuum and dust. If you feel like your bedroom feels kind of stale and stuffy and stuck, open the windows, maybe when it's not raining in a couple days, and dust and vacuum, and see if you can freshen it up a little bit if it feels, stuck energy that way. You can use sage. You can burn sage in your room and just kind of clear out the energy. If you've had a really bad argument, or you had an ex-partner there and now you're by yourself and that doesn't feel right, do some burning of some sage or something like that to clear out that energy, because energy stays there and the brain is fully aware all the time. One other thing we want to make sure we do is to make sure we cover any mirrors in the bedroom, because if there's any chance, if we get up in the middle of the night or we sit up in bed and there's a mirror directly across from us, we're going to see that, and we're going to see our reflection, and it's going to take our brain a moment to catch, oh, that's me in the middle of the night. And so you really don't want to see anybody else in the middle of the night like that. So really cover those mirrors, or just take them out. I mean, most bedrooms we've just taken them out. I know in the past we used to have these beautiful mirrors over our dressers and things like that, but it's just best to get them out, because you don't want to scare the heck out of yourself in the middle of the night. And of course, during the day, we want to make sure that we exercise enough. And I know this group is definitely doing that. And I'm thrilled and say, keep doing it. Because if you don't move your body and exercise, your body's not going to be tired. Your body's going to be like, I'm ready to go. I can keep going. And then also, if you can during the day, to meditate, because when you meditate, you're going into that parasympathetic system, and you're letting your brain know, like, throughout the day and at night, it is safe to rest. It is safe to repair. So those are the things we can do during the day. Okay, and so another thing that we can do during the day is eating for better sleep. So we don't want to go to bed on a full stomach because our bodies and brains have to then decide, do I digest the heaviness of this meal or do I rest and repair? And I will tell you, it will pick digestion every time because it's sitting right there and it's time to get it moving, and your body and your brain is going to go, I'm going to start digesting, and you will not rest and repair very well. If we go to bed with a full stomach, it actually causes cellular inflammation in the brain. So we don't want to do that. Also, if we're laying down with a full stomach, we're going to have acid reflux or heartburn kind of sensations, and that's not good. We want to, during the day, we want to avoid caffeine. So for women, it takes 14 hours to metabolize caffeine. So I have had women that I have treated over the years who had their last cup of coffee at 8 a.m. in the morning, and it affected their sleep. When I got them to change that to 7 a.m., I'm not taking away your coffee, I'm not doing it, but we have to shift it. So shift it back an hour to 7 o'clock in the morning. When you can do that, that will not affect your sleep that night. So even though you think, oh, it's been hours, it takes women 14 hours. It takes men 12 hours and women 14 hours. So it takes a long time. So men can get by a little bit longer, but not much. You want to avoid alcohol. So alcohol in Chinese medicine has what's called, the nature of it is called damp heat. And so the dampness is the sedative effect, right? It's like, oh yeah, that just totally relaxes us. The problem is that it also has heat. So there's a rebound. So you will feel that sedative experience for a couple hours before you go to bed or while you're in bed. But then a couple hours into sleep, you will wake up because that heat will rise. And sometimes that'll, give hot flashes, or that can also give you nightmares and disturb sleep. So if you're using alcohol to fall asleep, let's pick something else, because that is not going to help your system. And we'll talk about different supplements and things like that towards the end. Another thing is to avoid sugar, especially before bed, but during the day as well. So there was a study that was done that on average, when we have no sugar in our system, our immune cells, our T cells, can fight anywhere from 10 to 14 bacteria and viruses at any given time. That's one of those cells, and we have millions of them. So one cell can kill 10 to 14 bacteria and virus. When we have 3 to 4 teaspoons of sugar in our system, that one cell can only kill 8 to 10. So not quite half, about 40% difference in our immune system when we have 3 to 4 teaspoons of sugar in our system. Sugar, in Chinese medicine, there is no single food that is quote unquote bad. It's all in relation to what is your constitution, what is your body type, how do you react, how's your digestive system, and then when you eat, is it going to nourish you? Are you going to be able to take nourishment? Sugar is the one caveat to that. It is the only food in Chinese medicine that is considered bad and dangerous. And we don't want replacements, the aspartames and the splendas and all of that. Those are all, those are man-made and our body doesn't know what to do with it. And, there's some that say that they cause cancer. I have seen neurotoxicity problems where people are having memory issues when they use artificial sweeteners. I had one client he was a male. He's at the time he was 65 years old, and he was drinking. He loved iced tea. And so he would drink iced tea throughout the day, and he would put his Splenda in it. He's like, it's Splenda, it's better than sugar. So he was getting anywhere from 8 to 10 teaspoons minimum a day of Splenda. And he started having memory issues, and he didn't know what to do. He went to doctor to doctor to doctor. He went to the Mayo Clinic. He did everything under the sun trying to figure out what was going on. He thought he was losing his mind. He thought he was starting dementia. He was scared out of his mind. And when I asked him what he was drinking and what he was eating, he told me about the drinking. And I said, okay, I'm not going to worry about the caffeine and the iced tea right now, but I am going to ask you to take out the Splenda and replace it. So I would rather have you, use Sucanat or something else, or turbinado raw cane sugar, than to use the Splenda. And he started doing that, and all the symptoms went away. He had been suffering for about a year, and things were getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So what you eat and what you drink is what you are. So watch what you're eating in terms of sugar and sugar replacements. But if it's a choice between, if you were sitting in a restaurant and it's the white packet or the blue or the pink or the yellow packet, pick the white packet if you have to have it. I'd rather say no across the board, but some things need a little bit of sugar. Use a little bit of the white packet of real sugar, or the brown if they have the turbinado sugar. The turbinado raw sugar is actually better. So we've talked about this before in terms of making sure that you get all your liquid in by 7 p.m. or so. You want to eat at night. If you're shooting to go to bed at 10, you'd want a good 2 to 3 hours before you to finish eating. So hopefully like in the 6 or 7 range, you'd be completing your eating so that your body has time to digest before you go to rest. One thing that you do want to do is, if you are having trouble sleeping, and if you can try this for a couple days and see what happens. A lot of times our bodies wake us up in the middle of the night because our blood sugar drops. So if you're having any type of blood sugar stabilization, and you may not have it during the day, or you may not notice it, but if your body wakes up and the blood sugar is dropping, boy, there's going to be a red alert and you're going to wake up. So one thing that you can try is to have a high protein with a low carb snack right before you go to sleep. So you don't want to have a full out meal, but you could have like a hard boiled egg, or, an apple with peanut butter or almond butter on it, or, celery and almond butter or something like that. But try that if you're waking up in the middle of the night, because it could be a blood sugar drop. So that can make a big difference. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you're hungry, you're having a blood sugar drop. So if that's one of your things, and that you get up and snack in the middle of the night, you need to prevent that and get that taken care of on the before you go to bed side. So one thing to ask yourself, and we touched on this a little bit, but what mood do you want to wake up in? And so really tending to that in relation to your emotions and checking in before you go to sleep. And you don't necessarily, like if you're having a hard time, if you're worried, if you're anxious, if there's depression, if you've had an argument with somebody, if something's rolling over in your mind, you don't want to wait until 2 minutes before you go to bed and say, where am I at? You need to be able to start tending to that before you go to bed, a couple hours before you go to bed. But think about, ask yourself, and you may want to put a sticky note when you're on the mirror so that when you go in to brush your teeth, at least, put a sticky note there and say, what mood do I want to wake up in the morning? And then check in. How close are you to that? Do you need to do a little bit of work to get there? So, what are the 5 senses that can let your psyche know that you're safe? So utilizing your 5 senses, that's how your brain and your psyche is going to know that it's safe. So some things that you can do is listening to some soothing music. I would not listen to punk rock at this point, right before bed. Some lavender you can massage on the bottom of your feet. So if you're looking at if this is the bottom of my foot, right here in this area, and you can, it doesn't have to be exact, but kind of in between the 3rd and 4th toe, there's a little divot there underneath there, and you can put lavender oil, massage it in. You can put it directly, or you can mix it with the lotion. If you have a partner and you want to give each other foot massages before you go to bed and put a little bit of lavender oil with massage, that is a great way to be able to wind down. It's relaxing. You're giving each other love. It's a good thing. Otherwise, massage your foot and it will feel good to you as well. So another thing that you can do to help you as you're getting ready, as you're brushing your teeth, or as you're in bed, is to go over the day and think about all the things that made you smile and laugh, and all of the things that felt really good. It can be something simple. It could be like, I chose a color for my bedroom and I'm really excited, and it's not going to be painted for another couple of weeks, but boy, that's going to feel good when I do that. Anything that you're looking forward to for the next day, but try to go over the day and think about anything that felt really good. You want to start training your brain to start paying attention to those things. When you wake up in the morning, you want to say, it is a good day. Because when you say that, and when you say that out loud, your brain is now on alert and going, okay, what's making it a good day? What is it? Oh, the sun. Oh, there's a bird over there. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, and there's all these different things. But you want to state that as a fact to help your brain prove that throughout the day. One thing you can do during the day too is to get your feet on the ground, bare feet on the grass, on the ground for 10 to 15 minutes a day. Ideally, you can do it in the morning and at night. If you only have time for one, I would do it at sundown and watch the sunset if you can. Even if you can't see where, the sun setting, you can just still watch the light go down. But watching the light go down tells your brain, oh, it's starting to shut down during the day. It's gonna getting close to bedtime. So, and then the opposite of that also is getting sun first thing in the morning. And so going outside, getting sun on your face. Women especially actually receive vitamin D through our forearms. And so we want to roll our sleeves up in the morning and hello, sunshine. Put your arms to the sun and get some sun on your face, because that tells your body clock, okay, it's daytime. We're starting to be alert. So just thinking about, what does your brain need? So things that you can do to help you fall asleep is doing the 4-4-8 breathing. So inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, and exhale for a count of 8. What's most important with that is that your exhale is twice as long as your inhale. And I tend to, purse lips and just do it at a small stream so I can go actually even longer. And that tells the system, okay, everything's fine, and I can start to rest. That's a really good breathing as well during the day if there's any anxiety. And again, it's good to practice that just to let the body and brain know that it is safe. It is safe. When you lay down, I want you to think about, how does the pillow feel? How does the sheets feel on your body? Is there bare skin contact to the sheets? Are the sheets soft? Are they feeling good? Where, really get in touch with, so you can bring your body and brain into your bed and not just be thinking about all these things that you got to do. So really feeling where everything is. What's your favorite position? How does it feel? What's the, contact area that's touching the bed? One thing to think about too is, what's the last thing that you want to look at before you go to sleep? Is it a plant? Is it your pet? Is it your partner? Is it a photo? Is it a picture of something? What is it that you want to go to sleep with the image in your mind? And typically, what do you want to wake up to? Going back to what Jeffrey said, and I think we touched on this, is, again, looking at your room, looking at your bedroom, and making sure that everything that's in there is what you love. If you have a piece of furniture in there that you're just like, oh, Aunt Martha gave it to me and I feel like I have to have it in my room, get it out of your room, go put it somewhere else, but get it out of your bedroom, because again, you're constricting and your brain's like, that doesn't feel good. Better to have an empty space than to have something that you don't love that's in your bedroom, because you need to feel safe. You need to feel safe. Another really good thing is to put on a warm eye pillow on your eyes and put that on for about 10 minutes. Zach and I talked about this a while ago, if you guys saw that video. But what that does is that, especially if you've been on the screen a lot, that helps to create more lubrication in your eyes. So it helps the health of your eyes. But by putting that warm pressure and weight on your eyes, it tells your body it is safe, it is time to rest, everything's okay. You can put on music, you could put on a scented candle if you want. But I would do that for about 10 minutes, and then just, I have my lights off, everything's set, and then I'll put that on and just take it off and just drop it on the floor. I don't want to worry about it or think about it, because I don't want to open my eyes and, turn on the lights or do anything like that. So try to do everything before you put the warm eye pillow on. But that's especially if you've been on screens during the day, but even if you haven't, it's a beautiful thing. Or if you have dry eyes, it's a beautiful thing to do. It really helps the eyes and the nervous system. So if you wake up in the middle of the night, what do we do then? We fell asleep okay, but now what if we wake up? So you want to take in, again, using your 5 senses. Are you feeling safe? Take in the dark, cool room. Oh, it feels good that my face and neck are a little bit cool, but my body is snuggly and it's kind of, it's warm. It's not too warm. It's not hot. You can spray lavender essential oil on the pillow before you go to sleep, or if you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're having a hard time falling asleep, that helps to relax the brain. You can take a sip of water if you're thirsty. If you have to get up and go to the bathroom, I know this is like a little bit of a battle with us. I know it is for me. Like if I wake up or I get woken up and I'm like, do I have to go to the bathroom? No, I don't have to go to the bathroom. Should I go to the bathroom? Because then I won't have to go later. And you kind of like have this like, long-standing argument going on in your head. Don't argue with yourself. get up and go to the bathroom if you feel like there's any chance. And even if it'll help you mentally and you just have a couple drops to release, that's fine. Just get up and go. Try to make sure you're lighted safely so that you're walking in the dark safely, you know, that there's a night light or something in the bathroom, but try not to turn on too many lights, and definitely no fluorescent lights for sure. Let's see. So another thing that can help you to either fall asleep or fall back to sleep is the muscle tension exercise. And so you start at the bottom of your feet, you lay down, you start at the bottom of your feet, and you crunch your toes together and you make them really tense for about 5 to 10 seconds. And then you let them go. And then you see if you can do that with your ankle. And then you see if you can do that with your calf muscle. And then you do that with your thighs and with your quads. And you slowly go through all the different muscles that you can. And hopefully by the time you get up to your neck, you're actually asleep. Most of the time I never get to that point. I end up passing out before that. But again, what that does is you're tense, and then you're letting go of the tension, and your body's and brain is like, oh, okay, that feels good. Okay, that made me a little more sleepy. So that's a great exercise. Using guided visualization or any meditation or prayer or chanting. Chanting is a really good thing if you're either alone or your partner is a good sleeper and you can chant. That is a really good thing. Find a chant that relaxes you, and basically that's just typically a vowel sound, or you can do the om, om, and just do om and just try to make that last as long as you can. And again, that sound and that vibration of hearing yourself is helping the brain to say that it's safe to go to sleep and to rest. Let's see. If you're reading at night before bed, something that's relaxing, read a good old-fashioned paper book. Do not read on your Kindle before you go to sleep, because we're dealing with light. That blue light is affecting you. So read something else. Read a magazine, or print out a story on from the internet or something like that. But do not read on your Kindle before you go to sleep. Okay, so taking a look at supplements, and I'm going to get back. Chamomile teas that you can use are chamomile, hops, valerian. You want to do that probably like an hour to 2 hours before you go to bed, because you want to, tea is a diuretic, so it's going to make you urinate. So you want to urinate all of that tea out before you go to sleep. So you want to, a lot of people are like, oh, I have chamomile, at 9:30 and I'm going to sleep at 10, but then they're waking up in the middle of the night. So try to back that up a little bit if you're going to have tea. Valerian you need to be careful of, because they say anywhere from 10 to 20% of the population, it is actually a stimulant. So I would actually try that during the day versus trying it at night to see if it makes you sleepy, or to see if it does indeed help you to fall asleep. Melatonin we want to use that in the short term. I think we talked about that last time as well. To answer Frankie's question, in terms of changing time zone, when we can get back to traveling in our world again, melatonin is a great hormone to take when you're traveling. And the ideal is that you want to take 3 milligrams, and you want to take 3 milligrams as soon as you land in your final destination. So if it's a couple flights to get to your final destination, you don't take any. And whatever time it is, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, lunchtime, doesn't matter. When you land at your final destination in the airport, pop that melatonin right then and there. Because what you're telling your brain at that point is, we are now in a different time zone. We've got to start to adapt. And then from there, you want to take a melatonin about a half an hour before bed that night. So even if you land at 7 o'clock at night and you're going to bed at 9, you still want to take it about 8:30 that night. So take it about half an hour before you go to bed that first night, and for the second and third nights. So you'll take it for 3 nights when you land, and for 3 nights. And then you should be on that time zone. You need to make sure that you try to acclimate yourself as quickly as possible to that time zone. And then you do the same thing on the way back when you land, and then for the next 3 nights. So melatonin is a great short-term support system for our brain. If after a week you're not getting to sleep and you're using melatonin, then stop the melatonin. It's not a cyclical issue that is causing you to not sleep. You can try it for a week. One other thing you can try is magnesium. And I would definitely use the granulated version of it if possible. That gets into our system more quickly. And you can do that at night. The one thing that you need to watch for with magnesium, if you've never taken it before, is to watch your stools. So if you have taken a little bit too much magnesium, you will have loose stools the next morning and cramping potentially. So if that's the case, that doesn't mean don't ever use magnesium. That doesn't mean that. What that means is you back up the dose. So if, for example, you're taking a teaspoon and you have cramping and diarrhea or loose stools the next morning, then the next night try a half a teaspoon or try a quarter of a teaspoon. But change the dosage. It doesn't mean that you don't need magnesium. It means that you took too much for your system. So magnesium can help us rest. When we are stressed, we use more magnesium. And so especially right now in this time of pandemic, I think most people most of the time need magnesium, extra magnesium than what we're normally taking. A great formula that I like for short-term use is restful sleep. It's a Brain MD formula, Dr. Amen's formula. And the reason that I like it is because it has GABA in it, which is a relaxant in the brain. It has B6, it has some melatonin in it. And I think it's got some valerian in it as well. I may be missing one ingredient, but what I like about it is that it has the GABA in it, and GABA is tells the brain it's great for anxiety, and it just helps the brain just, get ready to rest. So a really good sleep formula should not knock you out. Western medication knocks you out. A good sleep formula should help you to relax enough and you feel safe enough and your brain feels safe enough to be able to go to sleep. One other thing that's helpful is 5-HTP. I don't know, I can't remember if that's in the restful sleep formula, but 5-HTP by itself can be really helpful. That is a precursor to serotonin. And I would start out low. I would start out at like a 50 milligram. If you get vivid dreams, if you have vivid dreams and you take 5-HTP, you may have more vivid dreams. They shouldn't get scary because of the 5-HTP, but they can become more vivid, which means that you may feel like you've been fighting a battle or redoing your house all night, and then you wake up exhausted. So if that's the case, then just back up the time that you take the 5-HTP. Instead of taking it, half hour before you go to bed, take it 2 hours before you go to bed. It's not going to knock you out. It's going to help you relax so that your body can naturally fall asleep. One thing that you may want to check is your progesterone levels. If your progesterone levels are low, that will affect your sleep. And I was just on a conference called the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology. I was on a conference for 4 days this past weekend, and what was amazing to me is that the MDs, the naturopaths, the NDs, the energy workers, the PhDs, all of them agreed and said the same thing, that they would not recommend any Western medication, just in general, to try other things if possible. But what they agreed on was a natural compound of progesterone. And they said for men as well, if you have trouble sleeping, that progesterone can be helpful. I would get a natural version of it. You do not want a synthetic version of progesterone. There was a book called What Doctors Don't Tell You About Menopause, and it was written by Dr. John Lee. And one of the questions somebody asked him was, well, when I start progesterone, how long do I stay on it? And his answer was, you can get off when you're about 99. So basically, his experience was, we need the progesterone. And we are so estrogen dominant right now because of all the plastics in our lives. Anytime that we are around plastics, that anything that we eat out of plastic, anything that was heated in plastic, any clothes that have any type of plasticity on it, anything like that increases our estrogen, and it has just thrown the entire world's progesterone off balance. And that can be a big sleep detractor. So take a look at getting your progesterone levels checked. You can go to natural compounding pharmacies and get natural progesterone. Do not get do not get synthetic progesterone. And then other things to think about as far as, a last resort if you're struggling with sleep is, there's obviously something that you're having trouble with, then to see, in my world, I would see a Chinese medicine practitioner, acupuncturist for sleep. And they can create a specific formula that's specific for you. If you're in pain, we got to take care of the pain. So what is that? Is that, seeing a chiropractor or acupuncturist or massage therapist? And hopefully we'll have access to these things soon, to these types of practitioners. So, okay. So does let's see, anybody have any questions? What would you recommend for one? So one question is, what would you recommend when, for one reason or another, it's too late to eat? Skip the meal, eat okay, so if you skip dinner, if you miss dinner, the question is, what would be the best way to handle that? So if you skip dinner, your blood sugar will have a really hard time to make it all the way through the night. So you've got to eat a little bit of something. So at bare minimum, I would make sure you have something high protein with low carb on it. Like the peanut butter and apple or peanut butter and celery, hard-boiled eggs, things like that. If you can digest cheese, I would do that. That's questionable if people can do that. So anything, you definitely want to eat something. So if you are, I know fasting is a really big thing right now. And if you are fasting, you'd want to finish eating at like 7 o'clock in the morning and then not eat anything until, 9 o'clock in the morning. If you are waking up, if you're doing that fasting and you're waking up in the middle of the night, your blood sugar can't handle that. So you need a little bit of something before you go to bed. So, somebody, Janet, thank you. Janet said the new Kindles have a blue light setting, which is great. But again, you're having that flickering light. So you really don't want to do that right before bed. If you do that, if you're shooting for bedtime at 10, if you're doing that at 8 to 8:30 or something like that. But after that, I would go to good old fashioned paper book. And the question Kathy asked was, what type of magnesium? So there are multiple kinds, and so it depends. I would take a look and see what it is that you need. You can take a look at the different magnesiums online, and it'll tell you in terms of, if you're having muscle cramps, you would want a different type of magnesium. So that's a good question. I usually use a magnesium sulfate, I think it is. But you can take a look at that, or ask your natural healthcare practitioner. Any other questions?
Whitney,
Yes.
may I ask a question? It's too long to write.
That's fine.
I had a lot of my work history. I was on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, morning and night, phone rang anytime. I don't know, and it was an extremely stressful job. If the phone rings in the middle of the night, you really go on high alert.
Yes.
So I just wonder, I have terrible time sleeping. I don't get a lot of continuous sleep. And I just wondered whether that's stuck with me, or
Yes.
if there's a way to shake that off.
Right. So that's a really good question. And I see that a lot with mothers, especially because we have to be on high alert for the babies. Is that it can train our brain to continue to wake up because we're waiting for the next thing. So you've got to work with your psyche on feeling safe and that you are no longer on duty. So part of your gratitudes is, oh, thank God, the phone is off. Look at this, brain. The phone is off. It is in the kitchen. I do not have to answer it. I am not on call. I am not on duty. And really working with all of these things that I'm talking about, of really looking at security for your brain. Because it definitely, and you notice that, like, if you wake up in the middle of the night, then it's the same time every night, and your brain's like, I gotta wake up, I gotta figure this out, I gotta do this. So it's working on training your brain. So doing things that are ritualistic, that are using all of your senses, is what's going to help you. And you can use, things like melatonin and things like that short term, if that is helpful. But if your sleep is really difficult and challenging, I would see, an acupuncturist or a naturopath or something to help with the rewiring of your brain.
Thank you.
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
You were mentioning the effects of sugar and sugar substitutes on sleep. I wonder if stevia, which is supposed to be a natural product, is included.
Stevia is better. Honey is better. A little bit of honey, local honey. But in terms of right before sleep, I would not do any sweet right before sleep, because that's going to decrease your immune system, and you want to boost your immune system in the middle of the night. You don't want to give the brain the message, hey, okay, T cells, you don't have to worry about those other 40% bacteria and viruses in the middle of the night. So,
All right, thank you.
yes, you're welcome. Any other questions?
I just want to say, wow.
That might have been a lot of information. I don't know.
Well, it was, but I mean, I'm thrilled that you did it. I mean, we've got the replay, so
Yeah.
people will be able to go back and listen now. I think this is a call that everybody could benefit from listening more than once and taking notes. Checking
Right.
your notes.
I saw a lot of people taking notes, so I was trying to go slow enough so people could take notes.
No, I feel like we got something close to a master's level dissertation, but I mean that all very positively. It's you gave so much advice, so much incredible information, and I'm just thrilled about it because it's such, I mean, it's one of the pillars of health, right?
Absolutely.
And what we eat, the quality and quantity of our rest, and the quantity and quality of our food, quantity, quality of our movement, and the quality of our rejuvenation practices, the biggest of which is sleep.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
Well, and I know, and I heard, you know, I mean, we heard on that first call that so many people are struggling, and that, and it should not be something that you give up on. Like, it should not be like, oh, that's just the way I sleep. Oh, I just sleep in 2-hour increments. Like, don't give up. There's so much that can be done. And I just gave you a little bit. Like, there's so much that can be done. So if you need help, seek a natural care practitioner. Yeah.
So
And
Whitney,
yes.
question.
Yes.
So I can't move away from this screen thing. So I've like transitioned to like 98% reading books on my iPad.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I won't even read a paper book. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So the question is, you know, the iPad has this night shift on it.
Yes.
But all it says is that it will, this may help you get a better night's sleep. And it says it shifts the colors of your display to the warmer end of the color spectrum after dark.
Right.
So then, while you were talking, I kind of looked on Amazon for light or for covers for the for the iPad, and they said they had an anti-blue light screen. Is that different than this night shift?
So I would do the night shift and the screen as well. But what I would really do is the next time you get your glasses, do you know if that's been in your glasses?
Well, I doubt it because I don't think I ever paid for it.
Okay. So what I would suggest is to do the glasses and the night shift. So here's my question. How do you sleep at night? Do you sleep well?
Yeah, except to wake up to go to the bathroom.
Okay. And you can fall back asleep and you wake up in the morning and you have energy, you're ready to roll.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So what you're doing is not affecting you in this moment, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little hard to say, you know, what the accumulative effect is, but I would say I would get the glasses, and even if you have prescription glasses, you can take it back to your eye doctor and say, put that in. You can go to, you know, the big box store eyeglass stores, and just say, can you do the blue light removal? Because I need it for my screens. But I would do that and do the night shift on your computer and your phone and your iPad, anything, Kindle.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, because it messes with our melatonin, and so, you know, we're the first, we're part of the first generation to see what's going to happen. We're kind of guinea pigs with it.
All right.
Whitney, I just want to say thank you. You've really put across a number of points that have been my problem with lack of sleep and waking up and not getting back to sleep or staying awake for 3-4 hours at a time. And there's really a lot now that I can work with.
Good.
I'm really very grateful for it because I've never had that much information, to be honest. I knew little things here, little things, but it never totally. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome, and don't give up. Please don't give up. Try those things, and if that doesn't work, and if anybody needs a you know, acupuncturist referral or, you know, any other type of natural healing, you know, the reason that I don't say, you know, there's a time and place for, you know, Western medicine in terms of, you know, knocking you out. I mean, but the problem is that the meds that they use to go to sleep at night affect your brain long term. And so, you know, I worry about memory. I worry about Alzheimer's. You know, they've shown that with Benadryl. that people who are using that over the counter to go to sleep, or a Tylenol PM, things like that, all of those are causing long-term brain effects. And so there's so many things that we can do before that. Like there's a time and place for that, but there's a lot. So I'm glad, I'm hopeful that it's concrete enough that you can use it. And if you can't, email me, and I'll put my email in here again, and I'll help you find somebody to work with.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't use anything at all to go to sleep. I just don't do it. Because actually anything that I take that says for sleep, it actually does the opposite with me. I cannot take it. It's horrible.
Right. Yeah.
I stay away from pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of help, I can tell you.
Good. You're welcome.
Brittany, I just want to share a time zone travel story with you, if I may.
Yes.
This time last year, I flew to Melbourne, Australia. I went from Albany, New York, to Atlanta, Georgia, to Los Angeles, to Melbourne, all in one shot. We arrived in Melbourne, and it was 22 hours ahead.
Right.
So all I did was take my watch and change the day, because I really was only 2 hours off. I left at 8 in the morning from Albany, and I arrived at 10 o'clock in the morning in Australia.
Right.
It was a long and tiring day, but from the LA to Melbourne leg, I had dinner, I had at least 8 hours sleep, my chair folded flat, I put on the pajamas, they made the bed, I wasn't even tired. So it was great. But then you have the return trip.
Right.
The return was Sydney, LA, Atlanta, Albany. Also, and because of the time change and the international dateline, I arrived in Albany, New York the same day.
Wow.
There was nothing. I just looked at my watch, and I left at 8 in the morning in Australia, and that was 10 o'clock at night when I got to my house, and just thought, this has been a long day. I'm just tired. I'm going to go to bed and sleep. Irrespective of what I traveled across, I woke up the next day, a little tired, went on no jet lag, because it was a complete 22 hours.
Right.
7 or 12 or anywhere in between.
And so, and thinking about that too, in terms of when you changed your clock on the first leg, 2 hours, or on the first, on going out there, you, again, that was a sensory thing, right? You were touching your watch, you were changing it, you were looking at it. Oh, okay, it's just 2 hours, it's not 22 hours. And so, we want to watch everything that we're telling our brain.
Yep. I literally went, oh, it's not Tuesday at 10 o'clock.
Right.
It's Wednesday at 10 o'clock. And I didn't change the hour, I changed the day of the week.
Right.
And
right.
It was simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's easier to make that kind of a trip in one shot rather than trying to break it up. I know friends who broke it up in Hawaii, and they were screwed up in both directions.
Yeah. Yeah. And the melatonin can help in that case. I mean, I keep that in my bag when I'm traveling, just to.
I had it and didn't use it because
that's good.
Well, here's my insurance.
You figured it out.
If you have it, you don't need to rely on it. It was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Your presentation was really amazing, and an hour and a half, 90 minutes flew by. You're very articulate. You're very specific. You offer information in a very objective, absorbable way. And I think that's a real talent and feat. And I congratulate you and thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad that was my hope. So thank you. And I really did not plan on speaking that long, but there were so many things that I can't not unknow something. And if I know something that'll help somebody, I want to give it to you, and you can just discard it if you don't need it.
And before you go to bed, straighten your plant.
That's what I was just going to say. Get that plant organized.
It's making me crazy. I was trying not to look at it. I was looking at it in the beginning, but once I said that, once I told my brain, okay, I see it, it was gone.
Well, I focused on it then.
Just have all your Zoom callers just lean to one side like this, and everything will look fine.
Everybody shift.
Well, I didn't even notice there was anything off with it until you mentioned it, and then I kept staring at it.
See what we do to our brains? See what our
I
brains
just-
do? It's amazing.
That's exactly the truth. It's so true. So it's an amazing organ, I have to say.
It is super fantastic.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Yeah,
There's
let's,
my email on the bottom of the chat there if y'all need. So
let's all give her a virtual applause. Thank you so much, Whitney.
you are welcome.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
Thank
guys,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
tomorrow we'll be back here at 4 o'clock with Jeffrey with part 2 of his teachings around creating the energy in our home that
Yay.
will make us feel better.
And Zach's nose cut.
All right. Take care,
Listen
everybody.
to him.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.